Today we're going into the stunts and special effects of Ballistic, so if you haven't seen it yet, click up here or in the notes below to watch the film before you watch this because it's about to get spoilery. But like I said last week, we really front-loaded the first few days with all the stunts and special effects, with the first day starting with the driver getting shot. Our amazing special effects artist Frank had two practical effects happening at the same time. First was our driver wired up with squibs. We did a pass with just the squibs going off, then cleaned the windows and set up the next bit, which were 3 pieces of hard rubber, which would be shot from this device at the window. The first was just a rubber piece, then the second 2 were tied to the squibs that were on the driver as he got shot. But with everything set up, Frank hid in the back seat of the car and on cue triggered both effects, which these pieces of rubber don't go through the windshield. Instead, they hit the glass just hard enough to force that crack in the shape that it appears as though it did. Of course, on the shot that we used, not much blood hit the windshield from the squibs, so we added that in post. But after nailing this shot down, it was time to move on to the big ramp explosion. For this, Frank and team wired up our junk car to a pulley system. A metal wire came out from the car, around and back to a truck. That way, the truck would be able to drive away and pull the car toward the metal rail the guys had set up, which will be what launches our car. And once it hits that ramp, Frank will trigger a small explosion called a popper that gives us that burst of fire. Now, because we are low budget, we didn't have some of the tools that would have helped us get close to the action safely. So to stay safe, it meant we had to be at a distance. So we set up our cameras either unmanned or with very long lenses like this one with the Canon 30-300. Then I had another behind, one mildly protected by canisters, which we left unmanned since it was in the danger zone. And I wanted this one to be a solid low angle to really feel that moment. So we threw this one on my Benro hi-hat and left it. Then Chase and I jumped on the camera bike to cover it in a moving profile. In the end, it was this lower angle that we had on the Benro hi-hat that made the cut, but we could always do a 90s action cutaway of all the other angles. In that original shot and the one before it of the car approaching, you could clearly see the ramp in there. Since the ramp was bolted down, we just had to roll with it. So I gave the shot in the end to Thompson and he painted it out for these 2 shots, and we had. On day 2, we started the day by prepping the big body burn. Frank and team gathered us all around to test and show us the fireball that would be going off later. They also did a dry run rehearsal of the moment so everyone knew what to expect and what would be happening. Then Frank set up the rest.
So what do we got going here, Frank?
We have a propane cannon. It's a compressed propane that's going to be shooting out. It's going to make a big fireball come all the way out to here.
How far do you think we're going to go?
It's going to go out to probably going to go a little bit further than here. It's quick, it's easy, there's nothing that's going to keep burning. There's no residual burn like gasoline. Next to it we have a mortar that's got cork and grow mulch in it with a lifter, which is a bomb in all intents and purposes. And that's going to blow up and make debris go out here. It's going to look like something really bad happened over here.
And all of this is happening under the instruction and supervision of my completely kick-ass stunt coordinator who you just saw talking to Frank, Josh Tessier. Josh is incredible at what he does. I could trust him completely, and each action moment was 10 times better thanks to his input. Dude is a stunt ninja. But they caked our stunt performer Nick up with fireproof gel, and we went for it. And as you saw in the short, we did have a phantom covering this shot as well. It was always something planned to have everything slow down for this one moment before slapping right back into the action. And for how high speed we needed to go for that, the Phantom was the only camera that could do it. So we only did that full blast one time, then tried for one more body burn moment so that the cameras could come in closer and we could try to get more coverage with the flame since the wind was blowing the fire off of our actor. But even on our second go, the wind kept the fire from spreading all over him too much. So in post, I tossed the shot to Andrew Kramer and his team, and they comped in some extra fire elements on him, and we had a dude ablaze. Of course, during all of this, we had to stay pretty far back with Video Village, which was the coolest I've had yet. I had 3 17-inch small HD monitors and then one 703 bolt that was also on A-cam. That way, I could go be right next to A-cam when I needed to and still have my monitor. The rest of the cams, I would just set and check as we went. But it was the first time that I field tested my 703 bolt, and I gotta say, this thing is the perfect director's monitor monitor. Director's monitors usually drive me a little bit crazy. You have the battery and the wireless receiver, and the battery for the wireless receiver. Some of the wires are always coming loose and making me lose picture. It can get very frustrating, and I'm the type that doesn't like to sit still at Video Village. But the 703 Bolt actually has the Teradek built into the monitor itself, and these handles that mount right to it, so everything's very contained. I just feel like they made the 703 Bolt just for me. I know they didn't, but I'm gonna believe that they did anyway. But now we take a quick break and then drop some badass stuntmen to the ground. Domain.com has all your website needs, including .com and .net domain names and intuitive website builders. Take the first steps in creating an identity online. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, and has the tools that you need to build a new website so that you can start sharing your ideas with the world on a professional website. No domain extension is going to help you tell your story like a .com and .net domain name. And if you want to brand yourself online, Domain.com has over 300 domain name extensions to fit your needs from .club to .space. And of course, they're giving you 15% off their already affordable prices when you get domain names, web hosting, and email. Just use the coupon code FilmRiot at Domain.com's checkout. And when you think domain names, think Domain.com.
Logo.
Next up on day 2 was our stunt performer, Eric, slammed to the ground from the puck hit. This was done by wiring Eric up from the back, then over the lift so that the other riggers could use their body weight to yank him straight back. They rehearsed this a bunch to make sure that they had everything just right. Then the pads were removed and our insanely badass performer took the fall straight to the ground. Next was the body explosion. For this, our effects makeup artist Todd Tucker created a fake body that we could blow up on the day. This was made from foam so that we could cut out a piece of it to pack it full of explosives, and when we finally did blow it up, it would be safe for our performers close by because there weren't any hard projectiles that would be flying their way. So on the day, our stunt performers rehearsed their wire pool from the explosion. I wanted something that would be a violent flipping end over end sort of thing, and Josh and team delivered. Again, just like with Eric, they rehearsed with pads, and then that would be taken away for the actual shot. Once ready, Frank and team dressed and packed the dummy full of explosives, and after that, it was just some small stuff for the rest of the day, like Dana getting shot and taking the fall to the ground. This was, of course, Hannah's stunt double, Nicole, who took that big hit. And that moved us into day 3, starting with Dana coming out of the trunk. We were able to set spots around the area on fire to add atmosphere and break the window to get into the car. To do this, we had to blow the window to make it safer and easier. So Frank set a squib-like charge on the lower corner of the window. He sat off-screen watching and then timed it perfectly to trigger the window when Nicole was about to hit it. If you go frame by frame, you actually see that Frank blew the window just 1 frame before Nicole hits it, which is just insane. Frank is the proest of pros. Then we grabbed some live fire stuff and action beats like Vega taking this crazy fall.
2, 1, bang!
And then our massive van explosion hit, which was done pretty much like the others. Frank set a debris blast, then on cue he triggered it, and our stunt performer James was pulled by the wire into the van, which just looks insane. But that was it. After that, we moved into our Splinter Crew on the last day that we talked about last week. And again, the stunt performers and my stunt coordinator, Josh, were absolutely incredible. I couldn't have more respect for them. So please check the notes below, jump over to the film's IMDb page, and check out these amazing artists. But that's it for today. Don't forget, our posters are up for sale right now until July 7th. Once we hit July 7th, that's it. We're not selling them ever again. These are limited edition posters, so if you want one or all of them, go to the link below and grab them before July 7th. We also have our special features pack, which is not out yet. It was supposed to come out this week, but we're pushing it to Monday to make sure it's as good as it could possibly be for you guys. This has well over 4 hours of on-set experience, the director's commentary, a copy of the shooting script, VFX breakdowns, an ungraded and no VFX version of some scenes, and JPEGs of the posters. So definitely check that out on Monday when it comes to the store. And I'll see you next week when we dive further into how we made this monster.